Hey, what's up? It's your boy Foster with Tech A Day, and today we're bringing you the full review of the Samsung Galaxy Trifold. Probably the most ambitious thing Samsung has ever built. This is a tablet that folds into a phone. And no, I did not say that wrong, because yes, it is a tablet that folds into a phone, not a phone that unfolds into a tablet. It's heavy, it's expensive, and it's probably currently the loudest flex in the tech world. So what do we have? Currently, it's in its unfolded form. It's a 10-inch screen, OLED, that when fold into a 6.5-inch screen, and it is a great device. It has its flaws, and it is definitely not for everyone. Let me give it a wipe down. It's got a lot of fingerprints on it. It's not for everyone. But let's just go over some of the specs to start with. That main display is a 10-inch display, and one of the biggest trade-offs, and we're going to go into that, is when it's folded, you either have the main display or you have this full display. And for instance, I took it out yesterday and we were at swim. I took it out to my kid's swim class, and I have the Oppo Find N6 here, and I purposely said, you know what, I'm bringing this because I want to, I needed to fully experience this in a normal setting, out and about, to know, because I was on the fence, and I'll give you my verdict, at the end of this on whether or not I'm keeping this, sending it back, what the case is. But I said, I need to know, what I'm doing with this. So I'm there, kid gets in the pool, he's doing his swim class thing, and I whip it out, unfold it. I'm watching content. It's amazing. You start getting stares. I don't mind that part because you basically just whipped out a tablet. And you're watching, I'm watching Invincible catching up, which is great because you've got a 10-inch tablet and you're just like watching content, out and about. But you start getting WhatsApp messages, and then you got to start replying to people, and I logged out. And the problem is, let me see if I can show you here. When this comes up, and it's not too bad in this, but when you're trying to type on this and you're trying to reply, this ain't the greatest. When you're trying, this ain't natural. And so I remember when this first came out, I was like, oh, just go just go portrait mode and just do it like this. And it's like a big phone. And even this is still not, it feels weird. And so it killed it, because what you end up having to do, and let me see if I remember how I did it. You end up having to put it in. This is what you end up having to do. You end up having to put it in the floating keyboard, and you end up having to put it in the floating, and do this, and this is, it's just not. It's not a great experience having to respond to messages, respond to emails on this device in that orientation. with the keyboard like that. And it just did not work. And at that moment, I realized this doesn't work. And I got some videos with the Mate XT, and we came in, did a little review on it, and it sold in 2 hours, and got sent back out. I think I had some videos, did a quick review on it. But the Mate XT, for all its flaws, the fact that you have the ability to fold it into the dual screen mode, that is key in the Trifold, because not having that orientation basically means you either have a tablet or you have a phone. And if you don't have the dual screen orientation, you basically had this device, like I said, I think in another video, and I said at the beginning of this video, this is a tablet that has phone capabilities, and that is all it is. And if you weren't bringing your tablet out with you in public doing tablet things, you're not going to start because you have the Trifold. It makes bringing your tablet out more convenient, but it doesn't change the fact that this is still a tablet. It just happens to fold up like an accordion. So, that's still the main thing with this device. Now, the 10-inch display is, a dynamic AMOLED display that's amazing. 2600 nits on that main display. It runs a Snapdragon Elite for Galaxy chip, 5600 milliamp hour battery. It's got an IP48 rating. All those great specs. These hinges are amazing. This folding here, this thing is rock solid. The construction on this is second to none. I mean, this thing is built like a tank. I mean, that is the thing I will tell anyone. You are getting a solid device. I mean, this thing is, Samsung was like, it ain't gonna break. You can break it, but it's not gonna break. If you drop it, you might ding the sides, but that screen, we're gonna protect that screen. We must protect that screen. Like them old Under Armour commercials. But this thing is built like a tank. But it's heavy. It is decently heavy. You feel it in the hand. When you're carrying it, you're gonna feel it in the pocket. Those are the things that are trade-offs when you have a device of this size. The Z Fold 7 basically, kind of set the market, the US market for most people, on what a fold is currently. I mean, the global market we've known for years. These things have been thin, light, big for years, but stateside with the Z Fold 7, this was our first sighting, our first chance to get and experience that, and it blew people's minds. And so now that has become the standard. This, is gonna kind of take you back kind of almost to the Stone Age almost, because this thing is, when you get it, it is a chunky monkey, to say the least. But you get used to it. I mean, if you're gonna carry this thing around, that is the thickness is in fold, and let me be clear, in folded form, it's heavy. Only in folded form. When you go to unfold it like this, the weight distribution almost disappears. It feels paper thin when you hold it like this, because it is paper thin. I mean, this thing is razor thin when it's folded. It's basically a Z Fold 7 with 3 screens. It is just as thin as one and just as amazing when you have it unfolded. The problem is you can't walk around like this all the time. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. You can't walk around like this all the time. But that's why I said it's a tablet that folds and has phone capabilities. And when you have those phone capabilities on this 6.5 inch screen, those phone capabilities are amazing. You have access to the full Samsung One UI ecosystem. So if you have a smart ring or your Galaxy Buds, the Galaxy Buds 4, the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, the Galaxy Buds 4 Pro, which are amazing, by the way, all of those sync and work seamlessly, and it's amazing. If you are in the ecosystem, you already know how amazing that whole ecosystem is. Only second to, and I would even say second, it stands toe to toe with Apple's ecosystem, for better or worse. That whole ecosystem thing, that walled garden that they kind of put you in when you get the devices, that you feel like you have to get the watch, the ring, the tablet, the computer, the laptop, the TVs, because they all communicate. You want the stove, the refrigerator, because the refrigerator is going to talk, to the phone and tell you that you're low on milk, and it can order and do all that stuff, and that's a real thing. The refrigerator can do that. All this stuff talks to each other if you have, all the stuff connected. But when you're part of the ecosystem, it's amazing. And even if you have just pieces, it still works well. But having all this stuff together, it works amazing. One UI is amazing. The device itself within that ecosystem, using One UI, it's nothing new. Somehow Samsung is the only UI that has managed to figure out how to have a separate UI on the inner display and on the outer display. Don't know why no one else has figured that out, and I'm gonna go on record now to say when Apple releases their Fold, they will be the second. I cannot think that Apple will allow Samsung to be the only person to do that, because I have a feeling that when Apple's waited all this time, when Apple releases their wide foldable, whatever it's going to be called, and I've said this for years, that when they release it, I have a feeling that the way this is going to work is it's going to be iOS when it's closed, and it's going to be the iPad OS when it's open, and it's going to be two separate things that just work together. And they've already had the OSs for years, and they can just simply work the same way these things work separately, because as you see, I have one screen here, and when I open it, I have a completely different one on the inside. This is the only UI that does that. And I would implore every other foldable manufacturer, figure this out. Figure this out. Stop what you're doing and figure out how to do this. This is probably the most important thing. We need to bring the foldables. Stop making them thinner. Figure this out. This is what we need. This and cameras. Put better cameras on foldables. We don't need them to be thinner. We need them to have this, and we need them to have cameras. Rant over. But One UI is amazing. The multitasking on this is amazing. You got floating windows, on here that you can do, you know, all the same stuff. If you know what you can do on a Galaxy Fold, you can do on this, with, you know, the exception that this is a big screen. So you can do stuff like this where you can have 3 screens open at one time. I mean, that's really the big difference here. But like I said, tablet stuff. You can do tablet stuff. The big thing that they missed on this, no stylus support. But, you know, Samsung took that away from their, you know, foldable phones. And unfortunately, you know, Samsung didn't believe, I think they drank the Kool-Aid too much and wanted to make this a phone, and didn't think that this, and didn't want to believe that this was more of a tablet than a phone. But they just needed to understand this is a tablet, and they need to treat it like a tablet, and they needed to bring the stylus like all the rest of their tablets. But, you know, they didn't. So this doesn't have stylus support. So that was the big miss that they had on this. But other than that, you know, it's a great tablet, minus the non-tablet support, non-stylus support, and it works the same way. Now, cameras. Unfortunately, you know, it is the big elephant in the room for all foldable devices. Now, that's getting ready to change. The Motorola Razr, and I just released a video. There should be a link popping up in one of these corners somewhere to that video. But the Motorola Razr Fold will come out, and it will have the best cameras on a foldable ever made. But the cameras currently on a foldable are lacking. And this one, you know, isn't horrible. It's the same set of cameras that's on the Z Fold 7, which are serviceable. You know, they're good. You know, they're not great. They're nothing that you are going to, you know, grab and say, hey, I, you know, absolutely need to go and I want to take go get it, grab this and take great pictures with. But if you have this and you need to take a picture and you're in a well-lit condition, you can grab a great pic. You know, you can grab not a great pic, but you can grab a decent picture. Struggles a little bit in low light. But, you know, if you've got decent conditions, you can grab a decent pic. But that is a issue that all foldable phones have in common. But as I said, this is a foldable tablet. And so I would go as far to say, does a tablet really need that great of cameras to begin with? Because this can fold and go out in public with you, this now goes to territory that hasn't been kind of reached by tablets before. So, you know, this is a little different. So yeah, I think what they did here is admirable. I think, you know, this is just the beginning. I think for all folding devices, the camera hardware just needs to be improved, you know, a little bit to, you know, the standards of its slightly ultra brethren. And don't even get me started on Samsung's ultra devices compared to the world's ultra devices. If you've been looking at what Oppo's done with their ultra device being released, I think tomorrow at the time of recording, and then Vivo's ultra device that's already been released, the X300. I mean, these things are cameras masquerading as phones at this point. So folding devices, folding phones in general should, have reached a point where we've gotten to the thin peak. Like they've gotten as thin as they can get. The next thing they're going to do is they're going to get rid of the USB point. The USB, they're going to get rid of that altogether. And these are going to be straight wireless charged. That's going to be the next thing that's going to happen. I know it sounds like, wow, what? Really? Just watch. They're going to get rid of the USB and it's going to be straight wireless charging soon. And then they're going to get thinner. And then they're probably going to release, potentially, if foldables make it that long, they're potentially going to have an ultra foldable that would potentially have the previous year's ultra sensors of the foldable, which means it'd be slightly thicker. And I'm hoping that's what they could do. So like if you had like this year's X300, like the Vivo X300 sensors, well, if they had the foldable version of that, it would have last year's model. But back to the Galaxy Fold. But we need better cameras in these devices. The Galaxy Trifold takes decent pictures. I have a bunch of pictures we took at Brookfield Zoo. I do all my camera tests there because it's close and you get a bunch of the animals and you can kind of, I'm a regular guy and, take regular pictures, and that's the closest I'm gonna get to, getting National Geographic. So it's always fun to go there and take pics of animals and fun things to see what we can do with these cameras. So take a look at those and see what you think. And we'll come back and kind of conclude this review.
See my conscience, yeah, my conscience. Mind free, me know them, they don't want it. No weapon formed against me, no nonsense. Spirit clean, so we move so flawless. Them not want it, yeah, they don't want it. But Jah got me through the storm, that they're not haunted. Every step better, no blessing me, I count it. Me no lose face, cause them can't down shine it. Look they on me, show me set them on flame. Everything ahead, me not miss aim. Talk hype on me name, but them not in the same lane. Me elevate quick, them still fight for fame. Pressure make diamond, me born for rain. Them want copy style, but he not the same. My spirit so pure, can't trap me frame. Them not want it, but me still remain. See my conscience, yeah, my conscience. Mind free, me know them, they don't want it. No weapon formed against me, no nonsense. Spirit clean, so we move so flawless. Them not want it, yeah, they don't want it. But Jah got me through the storm, that they're not haunted. Every step better, no blessing me, I count it. Me no lose face, cause them can't outshine it. See my conscience, yeah, my conscience. Mind free, me know them, they don't want it. No weapon formed against me, no nonsense. Spirit clean, so we move so flawless. See my conscience, yeah, my conscience. Mind free, me know them, they don't want it. No weapon formed against me, no nonsense. Spirit clean, so we move so flawless. Them not want it, yeah, they don't want it. But Jah got me through the storm, that they're not haunted. Every step I turn up, blessing me, I count it. Me no lose, face, me them can't outshine it. See my conscience, yeah, my conscience.
All right, now we're back. So, what'd you think? Decent, right? Not great, not horrible. Could be better, but it's what it does. So, is this a daily driver? Yes, for some people. I don't know, the thing that gets most people, and I don't even know if it's really the thing that gets most people. I mean, this phone is $2,900, so about $3,100 out the door. Even if it was the same cost as a Z Fold 7, most people don't want to buy the Z Fold 7 because it's too expensive. What it comes down to, and I heard someone else, talking about battery life and other stuff like that. What it comes down to on a Z for foldable phones, foldable tablets, foldable devices is what we'll lump them all together. Is what happens for most people is they don't unfold the device enough. That's what it comes down to. People don't unfold the device enough. So when you charge someone twice the cost of a slab phone and they're not doing twice the things on that device unfolded, the cost value proposition doesn't make sense. Now the device is 3, sometimes 4 times the cost, because you can't even buy this for $3,000 anymore from Samsung because they're pretty much sold out, and I don't think they're restocking anymore. So you're looking at 3 to 4 times as much as a normal slab phone. This, for the normal person, does it do more? Even for a normal tablet, you could just buy a normal tablet for $600. I mean, an iPhone, an iPad, and do all the same things. You could buy a 10-inch iPad for like $300. So what does a foldable Galaxy Trifold do besides fold, which is amazing, by the way, and put in your pocket? I'm not, minimizing that. But besides that, what does this do to really justify that extra cost for most people? And the answer is probably not much. So when it comes down to it, for most people in this space, is this device something they're going to want to run out and buy? No, probably not. Is this device something that most people would love to have, and if they had a chance to use it, would they enjoy it? Absolutely. This is an amazing device. It's amazingly built. It does everything that it wants to do amazingly well. It takes decent pictures. The device, the experience using it is amazing. I have nothing overly negative to say about this device. It is an overall good time. It's expensive. But most things in life are. And so at the end of the day, what it comes down to for most people is, does this fit your lifestyle? Is this something that you could use on a daily basis? And will this replace some of the things that you use on a daily basis? And that answer is probably no. But if you just want to have something that is cool and amazing, then this is a major get. This is something you probably should get immediately, because this is probably one of the coolest things to release in 2025, 2026. And I don't see anything else that will probably come out in the next year or two that will be cooler than the Galaxy Trifold. So this was Foster from Tech A Day. If you like this video, give me a like and subscribe, and let me know, is the Galaxy Trifold something that you would like to try even for a day? Thanks, and see you later.